The war between the royal line of Ardina and the rebel ascendancy had ended years ago. Yet the memories of fire and loss never left Captain Elias Ward. He had been a human officer who volunteered to fight for the alien queen of Ardina when no one else would stand by her. Most humans thought the war of alien crowns was not their concern, but Elias had seen what the ascendancy planned, a galaxy ruled by fear. So he joined the royal guard and swore loyalty to Queen Seraphine Valora. During the last days of the war, his unit was trapped on a frozen moon called Thalon 7. Rebel dreadnoughts filled the skies and the royal fleet was breaking apart. When the command ship carrying the queen was targeted by a superweapon, Elias took his damaged corvette and rammed it straight into the enemy's firing core. The blast wiped out both ships, saving the queen's life and giving the royal line one last chance to strike back. Everyone believed Elias died that night. His name was carved into the Hall of Heroes, and Queen Seraphine herself wept when she gave him the highest honor of the realm. But he did not die. Years later, on a lonely mining world called Kether 9, a sandstorm raged across the desert plains. The sky glowed red, the air thick with dust and lightning. From the storm walked a man in torn armor, limping, his left arm made of scarred metal. The miners who found him thought he was a lost drifter. He said his name was Elias Ward, but no one believed him. His face was half burned, and his eyes looked older than any man should. He carried a metal tag fused to his chest, a shattered insignia of the Royal Guard, melted into his skin. The medics at the mining station tried to remove it, but the metal had bonded with his blood. Every time they touched it, faint silver light pulsed under his skin. When Elias woke after 3 days, he asked the first question that came to his mind. "Is the war over?" The miners laughed. "That war ended 10 years ago, old soldier." He sat up slowly, the memories flooding back, the blast, the freezing dark, the silence of space. Somehow the explosion had thrown him into a cryo rift, a fragment of frozen time. His body had been kept alive by something unnatural. He looked at the faint silver veins under his arm and whispered, "What did you do to me, Seraphine?" The local security office sent a report about the strange man to off-world authorities. The message traveled through relay beacons until one signal reached Ardina Prime, capital of the royal line. Inside the Crystal Palace, a royal aide brought the report to Queen Seraphine Valora herself. She read it twice before speaking. "A human with royal insignia fused into his flesh?" "Yes, Your Majesty," the aide said. "He claims to be Captain Elias Ward." For a moment the Queen said nothing. Then she stood, her long silver cloak brushing the marble floor. "Prepare a vessel. I will see this with my own eyes." Kether 9 had never seen a royal ship before. When the silver crown descended from the clouds, its light turned night into day. Miners gathered on the landing field, shielding their eyes as the ramp opened. A line of royal guards in silver armor stepped out, followed by a tall figure in a white cloak. Queen Seraphine walked forward, her crown gleaming in the dust-filled air. Elias stood at the edge of the crowd, supported by a cane. When he saw her, his heart froze. She looked the same as the day he last saw her. Graceful, calm, eyes bright as starlight. The Queen stopped when she saw him, her expression unreadable. "Captain Ward," she said softly, "you should be dead." He tried to kneel, but his metal leg locked. "I tried, Your Majesty." Her guards moved closer, unsure whether to restrain him or salute, but the Queen raised her hand. The air seemed to still. Elias lowered his head. "I failed to die properly. I failed to protect your crown to the end." Seraphine stepped forward. Up close she could see the scars that covered his body, and the faint shimmer of royal light under his skin. She reached out and touched the mark on his chest. The insignia glowed softly, responding to her presence. The guards gasped. Only those born of the royal blood carried that light. "It recognizes me," she whispered. Elias looked confused. "Recognizes? I don't understand." "It was just a badge." "It is more than that," the Queen said. "Those who fought beside the royal line were given protective nanites, royal symbiotes. They were meant to keep our soldiers alive for minutes, not decades. Somehow they have bonded with you." He gave a tired smile. "So your machines decided to keep me on duty." Seraphine's eyes softened. "You shed your blood for the royal line, Captain Ward, and our blood has now become part of yours." She turned to the gathered soldiers and nobles around her. Her voice rose, calm but powerful, echoing across the landing field. He shed his blood for the royal line. From this day, he is not an outsider. He is one of us. He is ours. The words rippled through the crowd like a shockwave. Guards slammed their fists to their chests. Miners fell silent. For the first time in history, a queen of Ardina had claimed a human as part of her royal kin. Elias tried to speak, but the queen simply nodded to her attendants. Bring him aboard. He belongs among his own now. As the royal ship rose into orbit, Elias stood at the observation deck watching Kethar 9 shrink into a small red sphere below. The stars ahead looked sharp and endless. For years he had dreamed of this sight, but now it felt different, quieter, heavier. Queen Seraphine joined him. You saved my life, she said gently. You saved the lives of millions. And yet you lived in silence all these years. I didn't save anyone, he said. I just did what any soldier should. She studied him. Do you regret it? He turned toward her, eyes calm. Never, but I don't know who I am anymore. Human, machine, or something your people built and forgot. She smiled faintly. You are Elias Ward, the man who carried our crown through fire. That is all you need to be. For a moment, neither spoke. Then the ship's alarm lights flashed. A royal officer rushed to them. Your Majesty. Long-range sensors detect an unknown fleet entering the outer rim. Symbols of the ascendancy. Seraphine's expression hardened. After all these years, she looked at Elias. It seems fate has brought you back not for peace but for war. Elias straightened, the glow in his veins pulsing stronger than before. Then let's remind them why the royal line still stands. The queen nodded once, the silver of her crown reflecting the light of the stars. Prepare for battle, she commanded. And as the silver crown turned toward the stars, Elias felt the fire of purpose return to his heart. The same fire that once made him a legend. The forgotten soldier was no longer forgotten. The queen had claimed him, and the galaxy would soon learn what that meant. The royal flagship Silver Crown moved through the stars like a silent blade. Every corridor glowed with silver light. Every engine hum carried the rhythm of the royal line. The crew had heard the queen's words on Kethar 9, that the forgotten human, Captain Elias Ward, was now part of the royal family. Some whispered in awe, others in doubt, but none dared question the queen's command. Elias spent the first days in the medical bay. Machines scanned his blood and nerves while soft-spoken healers took readings. What they found astonished everyone. His cells carried Ardenian royal symbiotes, microscopic living machines that bonded to the royal family's blood centuries ago. They had healed him, repaired his organs, and rebuilt his body after the explosion. But they had done more. They had merged his human DNA with the royal pattern. When Elias looked at his reflection, he saw faint silver light in his eyes. He was still human, but something else now flowed through him. One evening, Queen Seraphine entered the medical bay. She dismissed the attendants and stood beside his bed. The soft hum of the ship surrounded them. Does it hurt? She asked quietly. Sometimes, Elias said. It feels like my blood is alive. Like it's listening. It is, she said. Those nanites were never meant to bond with any other species. Yet they chose you. They have made you part of the royal link, the crown network. You can sense things now, can't you? Elias hesitated. Dreams. Voices sometimes. Memories that aren't mine, she nodded. Those are the echoes of my ancestors. They live within the royal blood, guiding every ruler. And now they speak to you. He looked away, uneasy. I'm no king. I'm a soldier who barely survived. The queen smiled faintly. That is exactly why the blood accepted you. Days later, the Council of Crowns met aboard the ship. 12 noble elders whose families served the royal house for centuries. When the queen announced that a human now shared royal blood, the hall filled with disbelief. Some bowed their heads, others whispered furiously. One elder stood and said, Your Majesty, this is impossible. The crown line must remain pure. To share royal essence with an off-world soldier. Seraphine's voice cut through the chamber like steel. That soldier bled for us when others fled. Without him, there would be no throne for you to defend. Another elder argued, but he is not one of us. Elias stepped forward. I never asked to be, he said calmly. I didn't come here for power or favor. I came because the queen's signal reached me, and because something inside me told me the fight wasn't over. The queen rose from her seat. Enough, she declared. The crown has spoken. The blood itself has chosen. He is one of us, whether your pride accepts it or not. The hall fell silent. From that moment on, no one dared challenge her word again. That night, Elias was restless. As he tried to sleep, the visions returned. Flashes of silver palaces, burning stars, and shadowy creatures crawling through the dark between galaxies. He heard a whisper, deep and cold. The Lord's return. The crown falls. He woke drenched in sweat. The Queen's chief scientist, Lord Kelran, was already there, monitoring the readings from the nanites. You saw them, didn't you? Kelran asked softly. The Eclipse Lords. Elias frowned. What are they? An ancient enemy, Kelran said. Older than our empire. Older than light itself. They feed on energy, on life, on blood. We thought them destroyed in the First Age, but the royal blood remembers everything, and now they stir again. Before Elias could respond, the alarms blared through the ship. Contact! Multiple vessels approaching. The Queen arrived on the bridge within moments, her armor shimmering with soft light. Elias followed, wearing the plain gray uniform of the guard. On the main screen, dark ships emerged from hyperspace, jagged and black, shaped like living shadows. They bear no transponder, said the officer, but energy patterns match the old ascendancy. And something else, unknown. Elias looked closer. Those aren't normal ships. Their hulls move. The Queen's voice stayed calm. Eclipse technology. They've merged with machines. The Shadow Fleet opened fire. Blue plasma bolts filled the void. The Silver Crown shook under the first impact, but its shields held. Royal cruisers formed around the flagship, returning fire. Deploy wings 1 through 5, Seraphine commanded. Protect the civilian transports. Elias, I'm with me. With you? He repeated. Yes, you were born for battle, and the blood will guide you. They entered the command chamber, where an ancient device sat, a circular throne of silver crystal known as the Crown Nexus. It linked the Queen's mind to every ship in the royal fleet. Normally, only those with royal blood could use it. But when she placed her hand upon it, she turned to Elias. Touch the other side, she said. He hesitated, then did as told. The crystal pulsed with light. In an instant, Elias saw through thousands of eyes, the eyes of pilots, soldiers, and ship gunners. He felt the entire fleet as if it were part of him. His heartbeat matched the rhythm of the royal ships. The Queen's voice filled his mind. Do you see now? You are part of the crown, he answered silently. Then let's fight as one. The battle outside grew fierce. The Eclipse ships tried to swarm the flagship, feeding on energy shields. But Elias guided the fleet with new precision. He could sense the rhythm of the enemy, predicting their moves. Every time one of their ships tried to flank, the royal cruisers were already there. Every time a beam charged, the Silver Crown shifted shields a second early. The Queen and Elias fought together through the network like two halves of one mind. In the command hall, officers stared in awe as their fleet began to push the enemy back. How is he doing that? One whispered. The Queen smiled faintly. He isn't doing it alone. The Crown remembers him. At last, the largest enemy vessel approached, a massive black dreadnought glowing with dark energy. It fired a beam straight at the flagship. The shields shattered. Sparks flew across the bridge. The hull groaned. Direct hit on Section 9, shouted the engineer. Shields down to 20%. Elias clenched his fists. We can't outgun that monster. The Queen looked at him, calm even in the storm. Then we will outthink it. She pointed toward the planet below, an uninhabited gas giant. If we draw them close to the gravity well, their energy feed will destabilize. Elias nodded. I'll handle it. Before she could stop him, he ran toward the launch bay. Minutes later, a small strike craft shot out from the hangar. Inside, Elias sat at the controls. His veins glowed faintly through the cockpit glass. The Queen's voice reached him through the link. Elias, this is madness. Maybe, he said, smiling. But sometimes madness saves crowns. He flew straight toward the dreadnought, dodging fire and debris. He aimed for the core, the same way he had all those years ago on Thalon 7th. His ship shook, alarms screaming, but he kept going. When he reached the enemy's shield barrier, he armed the reactor. Do not do this, the Queen said in his mind. The blood will not survive another sacrifice. Then it will just have to remember me again, he said softly. He dived toward the dreadnought. At the last moment, the royal nanites in his blood reacted. They surged through his veins, connecting him to the ship. He felt time slow. Then the explosion came, a flash brighter than the stars. The bridge fell silent as the dreadnought shattered into fragments. For a moment, no one spoke. Then sensors caught a small capsule drifting among the wreckage. Inside, a faint life signal pulsed. The Queen ordered immediate retrieval. When they brought the capsule aboard, she opened it herself. Elias lay inside, unconscious but alive. His skin shimmered faintly with silver light. Kelrun scanned him. Impossible. The nanites protected him. They rebuilt him again, the Queen smiled. The crown doesn't lose what it has claimed. She placed her hand on his shoulder. Rest now, Captain. You have earned it once more. Weeks later, the fleet stood victorious. The first wave of the Eclipse threat was destroyed and the Empire was safe, for now. Elias recovered slowly, walking again through the shining halls of the Silver Crown. Every soldier who passed him saluted with quiet respect. One evening, he found the Queen watching the stars. They're preparing for your coronation, he said. For ours, she corrected. You carry royal blood now. You will stand beside me as protector of the realm. He smiled slightly. I'm no prince. No, she said gently. You are something rarer. Proof that courage is stronger than birth. Outside, the stars burned brighter than ever. The galaxy whispered his name. The human who shed his blood for the royal line and was claimed by the crown itself. He was theirs. And together they were unstoppable.